When democracy came to South Africa in 1994, it not only changed the social and political system, it also had a profound effect on the religious landscape. One tradition within Christianity, the Dutch Reformed Church, lost its dominant position and religions were now treated equally. Whereas before the end of apartheid, interfaith dialogue and cooperation was on a grassroots level and informal, this now became more formalized. It played out in the form of many charters that attempted to find common ground among religions and give direction to the role of religions and religious traditions. This was necessary because prior to 1994, religious cooperation was in its infancy. It also mainly took place in the context of the struggle against apartheid. The new dispensation compelled religions to reflect together about their role as a whole within South African society. Against this background, a number of interfaith organizations came into being that gave concrete expression to the idea that religions can and should work together to make a real difference in society. This is the South African National Defence Force. Not only is it a well-oiled machine, but also the place where interfaith dialogue and interreligious cooperation have found expression in a truly remarkable fashion. It is one of the prime examples in South Africa where different faiths really respect each other and foster an environment where people of different religions can meet and work together. Major General Jamagile is the Chaplain General of the SANDF. He says that before 1994, the chaplain's service was white and Dutch Reform dominated. This changed drastically after 1994.
Chaplain service of South African National Defence Force is firstly fully transformed according to the democratic imperatives. It's fully transformed. The chaplain service of South Africa is completely interfaith established. Now here I'm talking about the Christians, the Muslim, the Hindu, even the African traditional religion. So the chaplain services reflects completely the societal, democratic demographics of our country.
In many ways, the SANDF is a unique organization in South Africa.
Mark my words. There is no organization or any government department in this country that honors religion like the SANDF, in particular the commanders. There is no meeting that starts without a prayer in the SANDF. You go as far as to go and eat. We don't eat in the SANDF without doing the grace. We don't open any occasion in the SANDF without the spiritual leadership first. On parades, spiritual leadership plays a very important role. There is no place in the SANDF whereby commanders execute their work, even in small command meetings. They will be opened with the scripture reading and prayer, whether it's Muslim, Hindu, or Christian.
And the excellent relationships between faiths in the SANDF make it unique in the world.
My experience as the Chaplain General, who has been involved for many years within the International Military Chief of Chaplains, is that many European countries are coming from an hostile religious situation. Something very unique that they don't even understand. How does it happen? That a Christian chaplain general is in charge of all these religions, which is something very, very difficult in other countries, a Christian being in charge of the Muslim religion and the Hindu religion. So the South African National Defence Force is unique about that.
The chaplain service is also bound together by a common goal.
A Christian chaplain, a Muslim chaplain, a Hindu chaplain, or an African traditional chaplain has got the responsibility of executing the spiritual, moral, and ethical support, which I believe all religions, that is their common denominator.
Chaplains serve in all arms of the SANDF, the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, and there are also chaplains in the South African Military Health Service, and they all work together.
The South African National Defence Force, firstly, is, I think, a unique defence force in terms of the interfaith dialogue that we have. The first thing is that we respect the Constitution, and the Constitution is something that gives us those major guidelines. And the South African National Defence Force actually acts upon the Constitution in terms of all the faith groups. In terms of servicing the needs of the member on the ground, it is not about faith. It is about the role of a chaplain giving that support and the ministry to a member on the ground.
It is not like there's a civilian minister, pastor, domini, or white outside and there's a chaplain this side. These two are one. Because you cannot be a chaplain if you are not a minister or pastor or domini outside. And it's not like when you join the chaplaincy, you divorce your denomination or so. So you're still part. In actual sense, you cannot be a chaplain if you are not active in your church, in your denomination, wherever you are. So they are not much separated. So these two are one. Actually, it is the same churches that have sent us to the chaplains.
Yes, I'm working in one military hospital, and the hospital ministry is a very unique ministry because we are working with our members when they are at a very vulnerable state of mind. Because when you are sick, it's a different scenario. So yes, but also in the hospital, we are not only there for our patients, we are also there for our staff members who are there for the patients each and every day. We are there to provide a service. We are not only there as a pastor or a reverend, we are there as chaplains. And our main task is to provide spiritual, moral, and ethical leadership and support. So we are not only there as a pastor, but we have to be there for our members spiritually, morally, and ethically.
Being the only regular chaplain in the Muslim chaplain in the Defence Force, I communicate with my colleagues on a daily basis, and we work together very well. Like my friends, my other colleagues said from the Navy, the Vipra, that we work in hand. So when people are normally in unit level, when they see the chaplain, they normally come and engage the chaplain irrespective of their faith. And on several occasions, when I did my bed visits in the hospital, I always ask the patients, "Can I pray for you?" Or sometimes they ask me, "Chaplain, can you pray for me?" Then I always say, "You know what? I'm not Christian, so what do you still want me to pray?" And a lot of members said, "No, prayer is prayer. It goes to God. God listens to your prayer, to my prayer, to all of our prayers." So I think we have been working very well. I feel very comfortable amongst all my chaplains. And we're going forward with the chaplain services.
Now, the services that we provide will have your pastoral care and counseling to both those deployed and those who are on training. That includes now their dependents, that is their families. So we provide pastoral care and counseling. Then we also do lectures. We present lectures. We call them chaplain's periods, where a chaplain presents value-based lectures to those members. And we do moral and ethical guidance. As you know, that ethics is one of the big subjects in the country. So we also present and lead in ethically and moral direction. We conduct devotions. Each and every morning we do have devotions. That's how we start the day. We start the day in a religious and spiritual way, that we connect with our Creator.
As a non-Christian and as a Hindu member, I haven't had a problem as such, whereas I've even ministered to members on parade. I've done parades, I've done hospital visits, irrespective of the faith group, and been on deployment. It's about how you relate to your members on the ground. And that comes from top to the bottom. Our higher echelon leadership has made it very clear that the ministry that we do is universal and value-based. And that is an important part.
Then we also have what we call ministry by presence. That's why I will be visiting the different members. Then we'll have enough time to have conversation with the members. And in case whereby some of the members, they are very busy, because it's not everybody who gets the opportunity to go to chaplain's office. That's where now we are interacting with the members. And if ever some of the members, they are having challenges being at home or in their working place, that's where we can now engage them and see how best to assist them.
In the SANDF, there are numerous multi-faith prayer meetings, such as those on Armed Forces Day, the chief of the SANDF's Thanksgiving celebration, Easter, and even Diwali is celebrated.
Diwali is a Hindu celebration. You know, a service of lights, you know, a service of, as they put it, the Hindus. You understand? We attend that. Our commanders attend that. Whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Muslim or what, we attend because we know what brings the Hindus together.
This year, the Diwali celebrations were held at the Air Force College and was attended by people of all faiths. And there are plans underway to create a special day for Muslims as well in the near future.
Thus, I hope that
the Muslims, they have been organizing themselves now. Myself and my office and the Muslim Judicial Council, we are looking forward that the Muslims will organize what brings them together. We know it's Ramadan, by the way, and we are planning now how should it be done, where should it be done within the SANDF, whereby we can get the Muslim community together.
The openness to other religions and acceptance of the dignity of difference find a remarkable expression in an organization called Brahma Kumaris. Brahma Kumari Shelu lives in India at the headquarters of the movement.
We say Brahma Kumari means the daughter of Brahma. Brahma, we say, is the creator of the world. So we are the creation of Brahma, the one who has created the world. So just like we say God is the creator, but he created the world through Brahma. This is Brahma Kumari's World Spiritual University. We teach spiritual knowledge about who am I, from where have I come, why have I come in this world, what is the purpose of my life, and what am I supposed to do? So all these are questions which we answer, and we call that spirituality. So spirituality means above the physical, it is spiritual. It is metaphysical, to deal with the soul or spirit. So we are all spiritual beings when we say human beings. So human is the physical form, but the being is the spiritual form, the spiritual part, the consciousness. So I am that conscious entity, the soul or spirit. And when I'm aware of myself, I see everyone as a soul, as a spiritual being, child of God. So as we are all children of God, we are all brothers and sisters. And we do believe that this whole world is one family of God. So if we understand this, then we will live very, very peacefully, lovingly with each other.
Sister Pratibha works at the Johannesburg Brahma Kumaris Center.
The Brahma Kumaris started in the mid-1930s, and the founder was Brahma Baba. And so he was a businessman, but towards the latter part of his life, around the age of 60, he had a deep feeling of wanting to connect with God and find a deeper purpose for life. And as a result of that, he underwent certain deep meditation experiences, and he had a series of visions. One was a vision of the kind of world that we can end up having if we don't ignite spirituality in our lives. A world where materialism take over and our values get degraded, and how we can self-destruct in that kind of a mindset. And he also had a vision of what is the potential of human consciousness, that if we return to a pure awareness of ourselves, what's the possibility of that, and what kind of a world can create. And so as a result of these series of visions, he got more and more drawn into a more meditative state. So in the early days, he would just chant Om at his home, and people would come and join in. In India at that time, the culture was very sort of open. People, wherever there was something holy happening, people would gather, irrespective of what background they came from. So he would chant Om and people would come. And then many people that came in that space, in that environment, also started having a visionary experience of that level of pure consciousness and how it manifests itself if we return to that pure essence. It all began in Hyderabad, Sindh, which is present-day Pakistan. And then from Hyderabad, Sindh, they had moved to Karachi, where they spent the early part of their years. And during that time then, of course, the partition took place in India. So India and Pakistan split. But during that time, they continued staying in Karachi. And it was in the early 1950s that they then moved from Karachi and came to India, where the current headquarters are in Mount Abu.
The Brahma Kumaris movement spread throughout the world, sharing universal values and education as a key tool for transformation and spiritual development, which sowed the seeds of interfaith development in South Africa. The movement began here in the 80s, at a time of political turbulence.
We all started around the mid-80s, 85, 86, that I personally started with the Brahma Kumaris. And, on one level, our country was burning. But on another level, there we were in little centers, whether the first center was in Lenasia, or we had a little center in Soweto. We had one little center in Hillbrow, and in Durban, one or two. And so each of these places was like an oasis. It was just like, almost like seeding what possibility existed if we just went beyond our physical identities and reconnected at a more deeper level. So it was very, I won't say exciting is the right word, but it was really very inspiring times, because we were almost creating something new together.
The apartheid struggle gave them an impetus to stand together, but after the fall of apartheid, they were also confronted with a new situation.
After 95, it was almost like apartheid ended, so it took away a bit of the impetus of interfaith work. But we're very fortunate in some sense that the Parliament of Religions then happened in Cape Town. So I think that gave us a new focus for interfaith work in that regard, about not specifically coming together because of a cause, but actually coming together to understand and celebrate each other.
The impact of organizations such as the Brahma Kumaris was that it brought a new wave of introspection, spiritual healing, and yoga into the mainstream and introduced the concept of inner consciousness.
Outer consciousness would mean the external self. I am Mr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so. I'm of this occupation, I'm of this religion, I'm of this nationality, I'm of this color, and so on. But then inner consciousness means I'm a soul and my nature is peace, love, happiness. So all these qualities which I'm looking for, they are within the soul. So that is the inner consciousness. It is the inner self. So the outer self is the external information we give about ourselves, our introduction. But the true introduction is the true inner self as a child of God.
These teachings resonate with people all over the world and from all walks of life.
We have centers in nearly 140 countries. And in all these countries, we give this spiritual knowledge to everyone, because this knowledge is such, it is for everyone. No matter what religion, caste, creed, color, nationality he may belong to, because we're all children of God, we say that. So as children of God, we are all one. So wherever he may be or she may be, he is God's child, she is God's child. So this is why this knowledge is for everyone.
People of all faiths are welcome to come and join us. And it's very open in a sense that how much you want to grow within the practice. So yes, we do have disciplines. We encourage vegetarian diet, regular study of our teachings, etc. But it's not like rules. It's left up to the individual to what extent they want to grow within this particular way of being.
In the past, when the political system dictated segregation, it also discriminated against non-Christian religions. But it went even further. Within Christianity, many denominations were also segregated along racial lines. And the different race groups experienced their faith expressions differently. It was as if two faiths coexisted side by side. However, as the new dispensation made it possible for religions to have interfaith dialogue openly, so it also paved the way for internal reconciliation between starkly different faith experiences within a specific denomination. This happened to the Apostolic Faith Mission Church that was established in South Africa in 1908. In time, the church got segregated like so many other churches. Dr. Isak was the president of the AFM for many years.
We were separated in four groups according to the ethnic diversity. We had a white section and a colored section, an African black section and an Indian section, which was obviously the smallest.
Reverend Frank Chikane grew up in the segregated church.
When you grow up and find that you are in an apartheid church, that negates the very faith you believe in. It doesn't make sense. You grow up, and when a white missionary comes to Soweto at our house, every room, the 4-roomed house, during the night, every room, including the kitchen, it's a bedroom. And so if a missionary is coming, you get woken up early in the morning, pack up, clean up, give him food using the best utensils that are kept for visitors only. And then when I go with my dad to the missionary house, they take us to a garage and give us tea in a tin cup. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, it must make you think and say, but what is this actually?
Before 1984 already, the three non-white, if I can put it that way, sections of our church joined together, and they formed the composite division of our church.
We took a stand that we can't have an apartheid church. And so we formed what's called composite church, which brought together the African, colored, and Indians together in 1993. And then 1994 came, and it became clear for the white section of the church that they couldn't remain like that. And it took lots of negotiations between me and Dr. Isak Berger, who was the leader. I was the leader of the black church, and he was the leader of the white church.
A major part of the unity talks were between Pastor Frank Chikane and myself. We met numerous times, one-on-one. And we just realized that we understand the fears and the frustrations of the two groupings. So we met and we really tried to sort as many things out as possible.
If you are children of the apartheid system, you need to change, both whites and blacks. You know, the bitterness, the anger, the suspicion, the fears. You know, you need to be healed in the soul, basically. But there is also something else, that you need to be changed to be part of the new society. You know, you can't be the old and live in a new society without changing. So we needed people to change, to think differently. And we reached agreements and united the church by 1996, 2 years after 94.
Yeah, well, the structural unification took place 2 days earlier when the two, what we call workers' councils, general synods, came together, and we had our elections and the first joint meeting. And then 2 days later, on Good Friday of 1996, I think it was the 5th of April, we had this huge public gathering in Centurion on the cricket field there. The night before before that service, I just became convinced in my heart that I must publicly the next day confess to Pastor Frank Chikane the wrong of our past and the division that we as church maintained, which was against the Bible and against God's will. So I didn't consult with my executive or my colleagues. I took it on myself. I just felt I have to do it.
I acknowledge that we were children and prisoners of our time. I acknowledge that we for years did not question brothers and sisters being separated because their schemes were not right. I confess that without us knowing that we actually sinned for many years, we sinned against the body of Jesus Christ. And I ask this morning, Frank, on behalf of those gone before and even those today, I ask you to forgive us for all the pain that we caused.
I would like to take this opportunity of saying thank you to my brother, Pastor Berger, for what he has done today. This shows that the unity we have come to is true unity.
Hallelujah.
And I would like to assure you this day that we have forgiven one another. May God bless you and be with you. Isak Berger began to understand that we can't sustain this. We united, and he publicly declared and asked for forgiveness on behalf of the white membership. And I also responded and said, well, we also need to be forgiven, because when you are angry, you do things that are strange. You know what I mean? So we have to forgiveness as well, and we forgave each other. And I must say, up to now, thinking of it, the AFM is the only church that did actually take that radical stance and got united. The others are still struggling up to date. If you go to the Dutch Reformed Church, they're still struggling. Various other Pentecostal churches, traditions, where they had whites and blacks. Where there were blacks alone, of course, it's not an issue, or white alone, it's not an issue. but they are still struggling. So it's difficult. For the AFM, we did an evaluation 10 years later, evaluation 20 years later. We have succeeded to bring the church together, and I still thank God that we're able to cross that bridge.
And there was a deep sense of I always want to say a holy emotion in that. It was not a cheap story. It was deep going. So today, looking back, I realize that was one of the greatest moments in our history, which I'm thankful for.
HWPL is an organization with a special focus on interfaith dialogue. What makes this platform remarkable is the fact that the discussions are based on religious texts. John Frith is the regional manager in the Western Cape.
Okay, so HWPL stands for Heavenly Culture, World Peace and Restoration of Light. And it's an international NGO. And it was established with the purpose of ending wars on earth in this generation and creating a world of peace. So HWPL originated in South Korea. It was founded by Chairman Lee. He fought on the front lines of the Korean War, and after experiencing hardships and seeing the loss of life firsthand, he determined in his heart to make a plan to end wars once and for all. Because ending wars is the common hope of all people. All people want peace, all people want wars to end, so he determined in his heart to put an end to it, and he started to work for peace and eventually founded HWPL.
HWPL was not primarily founded as an interfaith organization.
So it's not a spiritual organization per se, it's a non-governmental organization, and we work in 7 different sectors, which include international law, women, youth, and then of course religion as well. The reason we work with religious leaders is because many conflicts worldwide have religious origins. Not to say that all wars are caused by religion, but there are many religious aspects to war. So to address that issue, we founded the World Alliance of Religions Peace Officers, which works with various religious leaders to bridge the gap between different religions. So we ourselves are an impartial organization, and all of our members are from different walks of faith, and we provide a neutral platform to discuss different religions and try to bridge the gap between religions.
The organization operates in countries across the globe, and in South Africa there are various offices.
So we gather monthly and we discuss the scriptures. It's a scripture-based dialogue, and for example we'll ask, who is God according to your scripture? And then each scripture presents their answers with the text, and then we discuss that. We discuss the differences and the similarities, and we try to see why we have conflict about this. So we look at the scriptures and try and find a trustworthy standard to live according to. So we're not trying to say this scripture is wrong, this one is wrong, but we're trying to rise to a high level of truth together.
Guru Medhahvi Das is from the Hare Krishna movement and a regular attendee of the HWPL meetings in the Western Cape.
We appreciate it very much, the opportunity to discuss with other religious leaders. The tendency may think that we have in our religion a monopoly on the truth, but by meeting together with other religious leaders, we see so much likeness and so many things to agree upon, and we learn from each other. And it broadens our understanding of religion and of God. So that's wonderful. We keep coming back. I've been coming for 3 years plus, and the other leaders as well. And we're inspired by what we're learning and how we're coming together closely, and we're hoping that this can be expanded around the world. There are still some things we're working on, per se, but as we meet gradually, we become to understand each other better. We understand what things we can agree on, and what things maybe we don't agree on at present, but we're trying to build that foundation for becoming more unified.
Mulana Shafiq Nolan is also a regular attendee of the monthly interfaith meetings.
I enjoy it very, very much. In fact, we look forward every month to attend these type of scriptural dialogues that is provided by the platform provided by the HWPL group. And yeah, we enjoy it totally. We really take it to the scripture itself and chat about the differences that we have in the various scriptures, from the Quran, the Bible, and the various different scriptures that there is. And we use that as our basis of discussion. And that is very unique.
Sister Nita, a Brahma Kumari, also cherishes the interfaith dialogues organized by HWPL.
I think I'm the most recent one that's come. Maybe it's about a year that I've been going to these meetings, and I think one of the things that I've appreciated a lot is how there's the ability to come together and share really what's in the heart, and from a place of honesty but without fear. And the capacity, I think, within the group that's been meeting together for a long time, there's a deep, deep sense of respect that has emerged. And I feel that sort of creates the foundation for the ability to have these open dialogues. So for myself, I've learned a lot. I've appreciated the different views. I also appreciate when there's a difference of opinions as well, because it allows me to think differently and to some extent also think of where I'm coming from and challenge some of the concepts and perceptions that I may have held incorrectly. So it's just put some light onto different aspects that perhaps I wasn't always aware of. So I have really appreciated.
Many of the misunderstandings between religions comes from scriptural misunderstandings. And we've seen actually many people admitted they had a previous conception about a religion or religious group, but once learning about their scriptures, it's gone. And they understand we all actually are one in heart, one in mind. All scriptures speak about love and peace. And we're speaking about the same thing. Not to say they are all one or we're trying to make one scripture, but actually the essence in each scripture does speak about peace and achieving peace.
We'd like to think that all religions are working for the same goal, loving God. In all religions, there are people who worship God, forgetting material things, but there are those who worship God to love Him. So that's the ultimate. We talk about love, but God has to be in the center. Otherwise, if we don't know that we're sons and daughters of the same God, then how can we be brothers and sisters?
Especially when we discuss our scriptures, we find that basically they are saying the same thing. They are actually saying the same thing. So then we tend to go deeper and find out where and how did the differences come about? Is it interpretation? What is it? So we find that especially with the Abrahamic faiths, and I'm referring to Islam, Christianity and Judaism, you'll find close resemblance. The stories, Bible stories, Quranic stories and narratives, I would like to refer to it. You would find there's a similarity between these with slight nuances and differences. And yeah, we do find it very, very much, and we are very astonished after our discussions that we find, wow, the similarities. For me, it has been a revelation. To find, even with the Hare Krishna and faith and the different, like the consciousness faith as well, I found that, wow, we are saying basically the same thing, but we're going into different interpretations.
The HWPL hosts many events and activities in South Africa, such as peace marches and values-based education.
Yeah, so we have some yearly activities or celebrations that we celebrate. So in the different sectors, we work in peace value education. So that's instilling the peace values into children in the education system. Then we affiliated with the International Women's Peace Group, which works with women's groups and works with the heart of the mother and the power of the mother to protect the child. Then we work with the International Peace Youth Group as well. And what they do is a lot of advocacy work. So apart from the WARP officers, our other main project is the DPCW, which is the Declaration of Peace and Cessation of War. It's an international law which we're hoping to present to the United Nations as a draft resolution. So the youth group does a lot of advocacy work to promote this law in the form of peace walks and talks and dialogues among youth.
However, the interfaith dialogue meetings are something that everybody cherishes, and the fact that it is based on religious texts makes it really remarkable.
Sometimes we come just from our own mind or thinking or prejudices or whatever it might be. But when you've got the base of a scripture, it helps to focus things. And I was thinking of it how a tree emerges from a seed. And sometimes we get caught up in the branches and the twigs and the leaves. Whereas scripture perhaps tries to bring us back to essence, which holds the purity and the intention, I think, behind what religion is about. And so I think it's a lovely opportunity to really go back to essence. And that's when we begin to see the similarities that emerges.
The Turquoise Harmony Institute is an interfaith NGO that was established in 2006 with the aim of strengthening tolerance and understanding between people from different backgrounds and faiths. Ayen Cetin is the executive director of the institute.
Turquoise Harmony Institute is a South African registered NGO. The activities that we have been doing, inspired by a Turkish Muslim scholar, Fethullah Gülen, and his understanding of peace, love, and tolerance. So our activities are based on these teachings. And what we try to do as the Harmony Institute to promote all these values through different activities. And we want to bring people together, and we want them to know each other at first hand. So everybody has the fear of the other. So, and we want to tackle that problem, that fear of other, by bringing people together on different platforms.
Their idea is to create innovative opportunities for people of different backgrounds to interact and get to know each other.
We are using very informal settings, and informal gatherings to do that. Like cooking classes is one of the very effective way of doing that. Food is common for everybody, and everybody wants to learn. Maybe ladies are very much interested on that. And the other one is movie nights. And we are having a kind of interactive discussion after that. Art also is an important tool to bring people together. So we are doing traditional Turkish art, we call it Ebru. It's a unique kind of art, so they draw something else on the water marbling also, they said. And we are running regular classes during the year 2-3 times. I think these are very enjoyable and soft way of, learning also about each other, also having a kind of discussion environment.
They also have a very interesting concept where Muslim families share meals with non-Muslim families.
And we have iftar dinners, which is, I think, one of the unique program of our Turquoise Harmony Institute. Last year, it's an open invitation, and what we say, do you want to break a fast with a Muslim family? And they don't know each other at all. And last year, for example, we met like more than 120 families. And we had a reunion dinner after Ramadan. We invited host families and the guests together. And it was amazing when you hear from both sides, when you hear the comments and the reflections. I feel my heart, feels very comfortable of doing something good.
Ayen is passionate about what the Institute is doing and feels that there is much common ground between religions and faith groups.
I think religions, the core, the essence of all religions is good and positive, and they promote, peace and harmony, how to live together. I think we must mobilize our religious communities to extract that essence from the religion and put it into practice. And from our perspective, we trying our best. Yes, we are Muslims, our own practices, rituals is there, but every religion has a component which is looking at the social dimension. And we are part of social life here. And I think we must really focus on that part of religion for the betterment of our society.
Another organization that has, over the last few years, created a massive opportunity for interfaith interaction and interreligious cooperation is the Motsepe Foundation. It has been organizing an annual National Day of Prayer where all religions and faiths have the opportunity to worship together in the FNB Stadium. It is an event that is attended by tens of thousands of people and each year draws more faith groups. The Motsepe Foundation has also announced in October 2019 that it is creating a 100 million rand fund to create sustainable jobs in South Africa. And what makes this initiative interesting is that religions and faith groups will partner with the foundation to administer the funds and create opportunities. This has never been done in South Africa before. In South Africa today, there is a large number of organizations that are deliberately fostering interfaith dialogue and communication, and they are attracting increasing numbers. However, apart from organizations promoting interfaith dialogue, there are also countless South Africans that explore other faiths on a very personal level and discover through their own efforts the value of reaching out to each other.